Welcome to Childcare Conversations, the podcast for childcare leaders ready to move from overwhelmed to confident and capable. You're joining Kate and Carrie, early childhood experts with over 20 years of experience. Since 2002, they've helped equip and train over 4,500 directors nationwide with real-world systems, practical tools, and the confidence to run a center where both staff and children thrive. This episode is brought to you by ECE NAC, the National Administrator Credential created by directors for directors. If you're tired of juggling compliance, budgets, and burnout, ECENAC.com is built for you. Now let's get into today's conversation, one we think you're really going to enjoy.
Welcome back, folks. We are so glad that you have tuned in. And today we are going to talk about, I'm not going to say the forgotten early child care programs, but a little bit forgotten. Sometimes we kind of forget that they're there, even though out of school time, school age care, after school, latchkey care. I don't care what name you've called it. I don't care if you've known it since the 70s or you are currently a program with school age care. I am so excited that Autumn and Tyler from Wichita Falls, Texas are joining us today. And we're going to hear a little bit more about their program, and they're going to share a passion call to action for all of our conference planners across the country at the end of today's episode. So with that, Tyler, why don't you tell us a little bit about your program, how it got started, and then we'll just get into having a conversation. So who knows where it's going to go.
So Southside Youth Center was originally founded in 1960 by 4 moms in the Southside region of Wichita Falls who thought, okay, we've got things for boys to do, but we need something for our girls to do. So it was originally founded as Southside Girls Club Incorporated. The focus was taking girls who are at risk of teen pregnancy or maybe not graduating high school or whatever it may be, and giving them the skills to become leaders both at home and in the community. And as time has progressed, we've switched our name to Southside Youth Center, and that's what we operate under now. And we've been doing that since 1995, 96-ish. And as time progresses, the needs of children progress. And so we've gone from home ec skills to STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that introduction. And Autumn, how did you find yourself in so do you guys use the term out of school time or do you guys use school age care? Which is the term you guys are the most comfortable with? Okay.
Right.
All right. So Autumn, tell us how you found yourself in school age care.
Well, I started when I was 18 as just a regular teacher here at Southside Youth Center. I worked for about 5 years as just a normal teacher there. And then when our original executive director retired, Tyler came to me and offered me the position as the program director. So I took over as program director about 2 years ago.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited. So but any chance either one of you students at that program?
We weren't. However, we have one teacher with us that was.
I love that. So it really has become a community full circle opportunity. That is so great. So folks who've listened to us maybe realize that I came from an out of school time program management background and absolutely fell in love with out of school time. And one of the reasons I got so excited about bringing Tyler and Autumn on is that a lot of folks who listen to us all over the country, all over the US, but in other countries as well, are finding themselves with more than just a summer camp. And so what are some things that are unique when somebody is doing school age care? If you're a director or you're an owner and you're like, oh yeah, we have a summer camp or an after school program, what would you guys say is something they need to make sure they remember related to training the staff?
That's a good question.
Like what is different for training staff for those 5 to 12-year-olds than training staff who watch preschoolers or toddlers? What is different about kids and the care we have to provide them?
The main thing I always tell my teachers is be prepared for them to talk back. Be prepared for sarcasm. in our program, and I know a lot of directors will be like, ew, why? But sarcasm is a form of self-expression. And we allow our students, as long as they're being respectful about it and they're not putting anybody else down and they're not being defiant, if they want to be sarcastic when I walk into a wall that's been there since this building has been built, and they're like, hey, that wall doesn't move, like, cool, they can do that. That's them expressing themselves.
If they use it appropriately, right?
Right. But just be prepared for that. Why are we doing this? With little ones, it's like, hey, we're gonna go over here and play with baby dolls. It's time for baby doll circle time. With the older kids, it's like, but why do we do this? They want that. They want to know what the reasoning is. We have some kids here who, I tell their parents, I'm like, they're more of an adult than some of my staff are, because the way that they come to me, they're like, Mr. Tyler, you tell us all the time that we're not allowed to do this, but what is the reasoning behind that? What do you, like, who says that we can't do that? And so I have to tell my staff all the time, I'm like, they're not questioning you to be defiant. They're questioning because that's how they learn. They're learning.
Yeah.
And they're trying to understand the process. And that
I
all
raised one of those kids. I raised one of those kids, and she's in her 30s now, and she puts it that she was politely asked not to come back to her private school. What was told to me by her teacher, who had known her since birth, by the way, was that Hallie would do better in a place where she could follow the trail all the way to the end of the thought process. Because she wanted to know, it was a faith-based organization, and so she wanted to know the why behind all the different things that they did in chapel. And they were like, good Lord, we got people who are in seminary who don't ask these many questions about what we do in chapel. But she didn't have any problem with it. She just wanted to know, what does it mean to be a crucifer? What does it mean to be an acolyte? And she found out. But she says that her teacher asked her to politely not come back, but
But I think that's a great tip, Tyler, because I think that because I was one of those people when I ran a school age program the last time with all the kids that wanted to know why, is we literally pulled out the state standard document, and I made them do the research themselves and understand that in Texas, that is actually a law. So that when they didn't follow the things in the book that it told me to do for them or with them, we were breaking the law. So it really was helpful for my black and white kids that, like, it has to be this way, or my rule followers. When they started to understand that, rest time or quiet time, even for a school age kid who's there all day. Because again, in the summer, I'd have school age kids that would be there for 12 hours, and that's just wrong for anybody. Like, I don't want to be there for 12 hours. So, like, what kid wants to be in that building for 12 hours a day, let alone with their siblings and no place to go? Like, they're like, I'm here with my 3 siblings. I'm the oldest kid in the room, and I'm the 4th grader. I don't want to be here, right? Like, so,
right.
Or you can't make me. It's like, well, actually, I'm not, but the state of Texas says I have to. So,
not all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me more about your STEAM or STEM curriculum and how that became something you guys embraced. And if you've got any stories, I love a good story. So if you have a case study, we'll make it that way. And their names can be, whatever generic name you want to pull out of, North Texas, or it can just be a generic name. It doesn't have to be a generic North Texas name. We don't need a Bubba.
Look, Bubba and Sissy are good people. You need to just lay off Bubba and Sissy. I know them, and they're good people.
I can give them some names from folks in North Texas. We can just make them Kim and Andy. That would just be funny, because then I may have to share the episode.
I'm like, are we talking about the same Kim?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Andy and his kids do all live in Wichita Falls, but Yeah. Okay. So anyway, with that,
So I'm when I started here in May of 2020, I started right after the COVID shutdown.
wow.
I came in as a teacher as well, and I was a teacher for what, 2 days, 3 days? And our program director at the time was not doing her job. And so the executive director was like, I really need help. I don't know what I'm doing. I had come from working in a public school. I had actually known the executive director because I was one of her grandson's teachers. Um, and he's autistic, and so she was like, hey, like one of the teachers that was working here was like, hey, we need you over there, we need you over there, we need your help, we need you over there. So I finally got over here in May, became the program director in all of like 3 days, because the program director that was here before me wasn't doing what she was supposed to be doing, and the executive director was freaking out. She's like, what do I do? How do I get this done? I'm like, give me a computer and I can sit down and get it done. Like, this is nothing compared to lesson plans for pre-K through fifth grade. Like, I got this. And so she had me do it. And then the next day she's like, hey, so I was like, oh, I don't like where this is going. She's like, I'm letting go of the program director and you're my new program director. I'm like,
It wasn't a job offer, it was a job nomination.
it was, I'm calling telling you you're doing this.
So
like,
you were. So in our world, that means you were delegated.
yes. And
Yes.
I told her, I said, if we're gonna do this, I want to see some major changes happen. And I told her, I said, one of the big things that the kids need, STEAM is involved in every aspect of life, from basic things like cooking to sewing to homework. Like, STEAM is involved in everything. So slowly but surely, I've been converting the center into a STEAM-based center. What was it, May or June, we received a grant to convert 2 of our classrooms. So now we have, the way we're set up is kind of different from most places, because we're not like, we don't have a classroom with 7 different areas in it. We have 5 different classrooms, and each classroom is its own center.
So you do rotating classes.
Yes, we rotate classes and age groups, and during full day programming like Christmas break, they will rotate every 45 minutes.
45 minutes.
Yeah. We just changed the schedule. So it used to be an hour, and then we're like, no, that's too long. They're getting bored. They're getting crazy. We're losing teachers. Let's not. So we moved it to 45 minutes. And as of right now, we really don't have much of a curriculum. We're just kind of going off of what we can come up with. We have, so our classrooms are the science lab, technology lab, engineering lab, art studio, and then we have an outdoor ed / gym class. If it's too rainy or anything like that, they go down to the gym that we share with the elementary school that we're on the same campus as. If not, they go outside. And so, like, we don't have curriculum or anything for them. There's really not been like any major case studies go on. But we do have teachers who, one of our teachers, he's the technology teacher. He is a computer science major. So that's right up his alley. He's in there teaching kids advanced coding that both of my brothers who are in IT are like, we didn't even learn that until like year 5. So it's like, okay. And the kids are using it. They're writing notes to each other in binary code and stuff like that. And we're like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's a great version of secret language and stuff like that. My kids did that. My husband's a computer programmer, so they also wrote in Elvish and in invisible ink and stuff like that. They never got to Klingon, which I thank the Lord for. But because that's a really rough sounding language. That is a rough sounding language, and I can't handle it. But yeah. All right,
so here's my tip, Tyler. Can I give you a curriculum tip to make your life easier?
Yes, please.
All right, so I have written tons and tons of school age curriculum, from national junior achievement level on down to engineering curriculum paid for by Intel. Themes will make your life so much easier. So if you go with theme weeks, and my favorite one still to this day that the kids will still talk about, and our kids are in our 30s, was Spy Camp. Because everything you talked about, they can have that as the overarching theme for the entire week.
Mhm.
And it puts the science teacher and going, okay, so what are sciencey things that a spy might need to know how to do? Forensics was also great. We had a lot of fun with forensic. One of my favorite things with forensics is having them figure out which car did it. And we used Matchbox cars, and they had tire treads. They had to match tire treads to Matchbox cars.
Hmm.
So sounds
Fun.
like people are talking to you.
Sorry, I'm trying to turn my phone off. Wasn't working.
Great option for school age care that I think, as far as curriculum, is 4-H curriculum, Boy Scout and Girl Scout curriculum. So all of those badges that the scouting organizations created,
Mhm.
that's a whole bunch of STEM stuff, and you can just steal it from them and give them the appropriate badge, depending
or
on your
not give
scout
them the badge.
organization.
You have all the how-tos.
Yeah. You don't have to give them the badge, but if you have, there's some kids who are like, this sounds suspiciously like my woodworking badge. And you're like, yes. And if you would like to have your scout leader bring in the paperwork, I will sign off on it. You don't have to tell anybody that it's scout work or it's 4-H work. If they're not part of those organizations, they'll never know. But
True.
it's great curriculum, and it's been field tested by hundreds, if not thousands, of kids of the appropriate age.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar, I mean, absolutely reach out to the Scout Councils and to the AgriLife Extension. So in Wichita Falls, it'll be your county extension office, and then both the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. Okay, Scouts USA and the
Mhm.
Girl Scouts both have councils that Wichita Falls is a part of.
And they have
And
them all around the world. So if you're in Singapore, if you're anywhere you have scouting organizations, they have these books, and sometimes it's all online, depending on the country. And you can snag ones from other countries. If you see something in the Australian Girl Guides that looks like a great activity, you don't have to be in Australia to do it. I don't understand why people think that child learning stops at a border. Somebody paid money to create that curriculum. Let's use it.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, which brought up a great point. So I think based on your conversations, you guys are a 501c3 nonprofit, aren't you?
Yes.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about that, because we know that we get people, regardless if you are early learning or school age learning, we get folks all the time that go, oh, I want a grant, or should I be a nonprofit? Um, what are some key things that you kind of think that, Tyler, maybe folks need to know, or Autumn, about being a nonprofit that they may not have thought of before? So I got my own list, but what are some things that you're like, yeah, I'm not sure you really want to do that, or yes, that was I'm so glad they did this in the 60s.
So this is a question that I'm frequently asked. I actually have finished my bachelor's at Midwestern State University in early childhood, but I got a minor in nonprofit management. And I have a
Aha.
nonprofit management certification as well. And people all the time come to me and they're like, "Oh, well, I want to own this nonprofit." I'm like, "Well, you don't. Nobody owns a nonprofit. If you go in as the founder of the nonprofit, there are things that you have to do. And nonprofit doesn't mean that you don't get paid to do the work you're doing or that you have to operate at a deficit. It just means that your board of directors does not receive a check every month or every quarter for whatever profit dividends that you get. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, you're a nonprofit. You can't have money in the bank. How do you think I keep my doors open, people? I got to have
Yeah.
money to do so. You don't want to operate at a deficit, but sometimes operating at a deficit is what you have to do. And you may say, okay, well, I'm operating at a deficit. I'm going to have to close my doors. No, you don't necessarily. you're still making ends meet. It just doesn't look like it, because there are months like right now for us, one of our programs, because we also have a after school sports program. Um, right now, the only month that is in the black is December, when we have no games, no practices, no nothing, but we're doing an enrollment for winter season starting in January. And we're working on fixing that. And we've taken steps to make that better, but it happens, and you just got to roll with it and don't think, oh my God, we're in a deficit. This is the end of the world. Just breathe, take a step, take a moment, look at the big picture, and continue on. It will get better. Just, I see nonprofits around here all the time. Oh, we're about to close our doors because we're in a deficit. Okay, but how long have you been in a deficit? What have you done to fix that deficit? We operate our program, our childcare program is about 35% below our market average value for our market rate here in the Wichita Falls area. But I saw that and I'm like, hey, we have room for competition. We can bring our tuition up some and still be below what everybody else is charging. And my
Yep.
board was like, but we're always the cheapest in town. I'm like, and that's what's killing us. Let's make that decision. Let's bring it up. We will be okay. And our enrollment actually has been about the same as what it was before.
It's
Because
amazing
some
how
people,
sometimes, yeah.
some people don't want the cheapest in town. They want the best
Right.
value in town.
Right.
And if you're the absolute cheapest, they're kind of concerned that you may not be the best value.
Exactly.
Hope that folks listen to what Tyler just said, because it is one of the things that, again, also coming from a similar background to Tyler, I do know that folks don't understand that they don't own the business, but it's also the reason why nonprofits like scouting organizations, 4-H organizations, other youth organizations, anybody who ever got a National Science Foundation grant, that's why all of their materials are free, because those materials were probably developed by a grant, and part of the stipulation for that grant is that they are available to the public. So if you are listening and you have school age programs and you're trying to figure out, what do I do with them this summer? How do I make it fun and unique? Spend some time doing research, looking for school age, or pick a specific age. Like you could say kindergarten or first grade or first and second grade. If you're searching, you can find a ton of stuff on Pinterest, but if you're looking for a way to pull them all together,
And make it
or
actual curriculum, not just activities.
or even just make it fun and easy to market. That's what I love about the themes. So it can be Wild Wild West. It can be sports, the science of sports, the science of superheroes.
Yeah. The
Because we
science
love
and
this.
ethics of comic books was one of my favorites that I've ever done, is the science and ethics of comic books. Yeah.
So, and that's a great thing to pull into STEAM, and you can get all of the kids into, like, art doesn't have to necessarily just be drawing. It can be acting and communication and public speaking. And so getting the kids into some of those types of programs. Ooh, that takes me down another rabbit hole. Toastmasters
Nope,
has
we don't
a
have
youth
time.
program. So Toastmasters also has a free elementary school public speaking program. There we go. Okay, so I did it. Anyway, in the show notes, there will be the contact information for Tyler and Autumn. And if you'd love to pick Tyler's brain about either being a nonprofit or collaborating in your community to maybe pull together some resources, what that looks like, because there are a lot of nonprofit private partnerships. So just because a nonprofit is who gets the grant doesn't mean a private program can't come in and offer classes and services. So I work with a robotics school age program. She is privately run, but she is often hired by nonprofits to come in and offer that program, because it wasn't a program, like, they only want it for 6 weeks. So they don't want to hire somebody or buy all the equipment for robotics for 6 weeks when they can just contract with her to come in. So if you are a privately run childcare or early learning program that has school age resources, you might find that you have an expert. Maybe you have somebody like Tyler's a computer science tech guy, and, maybe your person might be available one day a week to go partner with a local nonprofit or other program and offer those services. So it's a way to leverage your resources and possibly make some revenue and help the local nonprofit also provide a piece of curriculum that maybe they didn't want to invest in because they
Yeah.
knew it was going to be a short-term piece. So
Okay, well, Kate did a tease at the beginning that Tyler was going to make a plea to the people who were organizing conferences and other training activities. So what do you want people to know who are running conferences and, the workforce boards and other people who are putting on training opportunities?
School age training needs to happen. Autumn and I we travel to Round Rock. I'm taking a group of our teachers to San Antonio. We have to travel mainly far, far away. Feels like Star Wars. We're going to galaxy far, far away to receive trainings that when we get there, they're not always geared for our age group. We're able to utilize them and we learn a lot of good things from those. But we have to come back and we have to be like, okay, well, that doesn't really fit for us, but how can we make it fit? And I'm actually working on my registered trainer right now so I can offer school age trainings. And I'm willing to travel. I'm willing to go around the state. I have people all over. I have people all over Oklahoma. I have people all over Texas. I have places to go. I can go. Just let me know. Um, but please, please, please consider adding in more school age trainings. Maybe do a school age track, an upper, not necessarily an upper elementary, but an upper early childhood, because it is now considered birth through age 8 instead of birth through age 5. And teachers who work in early learning programs, but they're the after school teacher, don't be afraid to use some of your stuff that you do with your littles, with your older kids. I swore up and down I didn't need baby dolls in my center, and those are the best thing that workforce has ever given us. But please consider having school age tracks, school age training.
And
absolutely.
it doesn't have to be all day. If you don't think if you're testing the waters, do half a day and have a half a day track for the school age folks. We understand the revenue of conferences, but if your attendance is down, here's the thing: the boys and girls clubs, the community rec centers,
Mm,
the after school programs at the YMCA, all of those people need training. And so this is a way to actually broaden your scope at the conference and get more people to come.
So,
So
for
I
example,
second what Tyler said.
this is going to be one of the few times I'm actually going to applaud a municipality. So, and they don't still do it, and I wish they did. So, San Antonio in 2000, 2001, 2002 regularly held a 4-day conference for all of their Parks and Rec school age staff who ran all of their after school and summer programs at all of their rec centers. And they invited and opened it up to all of the other school age programs in the community. So the Y's came, other community centers came. Sometimes you'd see even the youth program folks that ran summer camps there. And so it is all about bringing people together. But because Tyler is on this conversation, if you want a half a day of school age, you could do the other half on nonprofit management, because we know a lot of early learning programs are affiliated or are part of nonprofits. So if you're a faith-based organization or part of a city municipality, a lot of that nonprofit leadership that folks like Tyler who go to school for are exposed to, understanding the difference between retained earnings and a profit, because the terms are different, but they mean the same thing. Just one's nonprofit and one is a privately run corporation usually. So with that, Tyler and Autumn, do you have anything else you'd like to share before we connect everybody to you virtually?
school age people, Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to speak out. I go to conferences and I'm like, listen, I'm the odd duck. I'm a school age program. So you can talk to me about cribs all day long, but I don't need that. That's actually how Kate and I connected, because I was like, listen, I'm a school age program and we're struggling because there's nothing out here for us. And she's like, well, you're actually, I'm like, oh, you're my new best friend. Thank you so much.
All right. So I have done my Ambassador Emeritus hat. The After School Alliance should be all happy because I've done my job. I mean, that's only taken an additional 20 years. So yeah, I looked that up after we met. I looked at when I was the an after school ambassador for the After School Alliance, and I kind of went, oops. I feel like I've fallen a little bit behind in my duties. So, Carrie, what do we want to tell everybody?
Well, we want to tell everybody that school age care is not scary. And that it is a great way to diversify your program and to further serve your community. And if you learned some stuff about school age care today, share this show with someone else who needs to know. Or maybe you share the show with somebody who needed to know a little bit more about the nonprofit ins and outs, which I did not expect to go into. And, you know, definitely text the show if you've got some feedback you want to give us about this episode. And we haven't asked this in a while. Subscribe to the show or follow the show on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. We're on pretty much all of them. If there's a platform you're on that we're not, goodness gracious, please tell us and we will fix that. That is my job. I do that. And we will see you in a couple of days.
Sounds awesome. Thank y'all.
Thanks for tuning in. We love bringing you real talk and fresh insight from the world of early childhood education. Be sure to follow us on social media to stay connected and catch all of the latest episodes. And if you're planning a conference, training, or special event, Kate and Carrie would love to speak to your audience. You can learn more about their keynote sessions and workshops at kateandcarrie.com. If you learned something today, share the show and leave us a review below. We'll see you next time on Childcare Conversations.